Cup of Nations moves into the semi-final stage. Tonight we assess the impact of women football on Africa. Stay with us as we also bring you the analysis of the fixture. Ghana, as they face the host nation, Morocco. Tonight we'll give you all the updates. But first, here's a measure up of some of the stories making the headlines across the continent.
Hundreds of people who have been displaced by fighting in Sudan gathered on Monday at the central train station in Cairo to begin a free journey home. The Egyptian government is funding train rides to Khartoum, Sudan's capital, which recently was captured by the Sudanese armed forces from its rival, the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. Sudan has been in the throes of civil war since April 2023. The battle for power between the military and the RSF has caused a humanitarian crisis. Over 40,000 people have been killed, and the war has caused one of the world's largest displacement emergencies. Egypt hosts the largest number of Sudanese refugees from the war, with over 1.5 million people who fled north across the border. Over 7 million have been displaced internally as the war engulfed much of the country. The RSF took Khartoum at the start of the fighting in 2023 and held the capital until the government declared its recapture in May 20. Khartoum was largely destroyed, including the presidential palace and the airport, but is experiencing a slow rebirth as residents return and markets reopen. Electricity and basic services are not fully operational around the city. It's a record number, 81 candidate applications to run in the presidential elections set for October this year were made to Cameroon's national body in charge of organizing elections by the deadline on Monday at midnight. Among the hopefuls are many second-time runners. The flood of applications, meanwhile, remains dominated by men. Out of the 81 total applications, only 7 female candidates declared their intention to run in the presidential elections. Among the men, it is incumbent president and oldest head of state in Africa, Paul Biya, who dominates the list. 1,150 seats for the Union for the Republic, 51 for the National Alliance for Change, and 38 for the Union of Forces for Change. The preliminary results for Togo's municipal elections, which were held last week, designated a clear winner, the presidential party, raking in 75.3% of the votes. The Union for the Republic capitalized on these elections, the first to be organized since a constitutional reform that could allow President Faure Gnassingbé to rule the country for life. Voter turnout was low, with most polling stations in the capital Lomé empty during the elections. This followed the repression of popular protests against Gnassingbé at the end of June. The result is not yet official, and political parties still have time to contest it until 5 days following the announcement of the results.
And there you have some of the major stories across the continent. But tonight the focus is on women football, because Ghana's Black Queens will meet Morocco for the first time ever in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON, with no prior encounters between the two teams in the tournament's 13 previous editions. Well, the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, formerly known as the African Women's Championship, is a biennial international women's football tournament organized by the Confederation of African Football, CAF, since 1998 as the qualification for the FIFA Women's World Cup for African nations. And if successful tonight at the Stade Olympiade in Rabat, the Ghanaian side will be just a step closer to winning the ultimate. Well, here's JoyNews' Lawrence Bedu with more.
Ghana, after a bumpy start, they have gotten their tools together again and they are kicking again, because a defeat to the defending champion South Africa, a draw against Mali, a win over Tanzania will send them into the quarter-final stages. Then they beat Algeria on penalties to reach the semi-final stage. Morocco will not come easy, as we all know, but then this is a team that has fought through into it. This is a team that has played in 3 finals before. So they're making a return to the semi-final stage since for the first time since 2016. But I think this is a very important tournament on the continent, because over the years since its inception, it's growing and only gets better. As far as we are concerned, this is only the second time that we are having 2 teams or 12 teams participate in this tournament. The last edition the first edition was in 20 2022, where you had 12 teams particularly for the very first time, and then this year. So it's grown over the years. It's getting better. It keeps getting better, and it can only move upward from here. I mean, we want to talk about the diverse culture. We want to talk about the fans tradition. We want to talk about everything that has gone through its development, the teams, the players that has gone through. It's in fact helped in the promotion of the women's game on the continent. And for some of these players who grew up on the local scene, I mean, this is helping them largely because some of them only get the opportunity to be recognized by clubs, recognized by foreign teams through these competitions. So when they get that opportunity to, I mean, play in this, it's a huge development. It's a huge boost for them. It's a huge morale booster or a CV booster for them, especially to be watched by many, to be watched by scouts, watched by football clubs. And in the long run, it also promotes the league because you have for instance, in the case of Ghana, you have 4 players from the domestic league playing in this year's competition, which is a big boost for them. Aside 3 of the players, I mean, in Ghana's team, every other player has played in the domestic league before. So it's a big morale booster. It's a big development towards women's football, whether locally or continentally. I mean, for the CAF Champions League, CAF Women's Champions League, it's also a morale booster.
Giving us the latest from Rabat in Morocco, where, of course, in a few hours from now, the Black Queens of Ghana will be facing the host nation, Morocco. Quite a friendly time to be playing that tournament, knowing that Morocco itself has agreed on a visa waiver for the Republic of Ghana. But you see there on your screens the Ghanaian side and the others obviously preparing for tonight's fixture. And of course, Joy Sports will be there to give you all of the updates, and we'll be getting into the details for you shortly, giving you a sense of what's likely to happen and the implications for this very tournament, as we have Joy Sports representing there. But this is a good time for us to also bring in some others who are enthusiasts in this space in terms of football, especially when it comes to women football across the continent. Joining us now is Rosalind Moore, who is a sports journalist, watching all of the action and making her own permutation ahead of tonight's game. Rosalind, thanks for joining us. But first, tell us your expectation ahead of tonight's game.
Thanks for having me, and good evening. My expectation is simple. It's going to be a very tough match, but I'm hoping that the Black Queens would bring their experience to bear on this game and probably win. It's never been easy playing a semi-final game against the home side. It's happened to them before, but on other times they've prevailed. And so we are hoping that even though this team is still work in progress, we are hoping that they'll be able to do the needful by winning and then advancing to the final.
Women football across Africa has come to the fore, isn't it? Looking at this year's tournament, what's been the unique selling point, and what do you think will be the impact for women's football across the continent?
I think that the selling point has been the quality of display from the players. The stars have not disappointed. I mean, apart from maybe Nigeria's Ashishato Shola, who has not been in full swing here, I think that the others have soared. We've seen Ghislaine Chibak from Morocco, and previously she won the top scorer with 3 goals, and then she was also voted the best player. And I think that's literally, she has carried the Moroccan team on her shoulders, and she's done well. We've seen other stars. I mean, even though the likes of Bamba Banda and Rachel Kundenaji, the continent's most expensive player, have, gotten out of the competition at the quarterfinals, at least from the group stages up to the time that they were eliminated. They showed glimpses of their greatness. And for me, the selling point has been the quality of play and the kind of goals that have been scored.
I see. Let's talk about what's been happening already. We see that there are some score lines for the Nigerian match. I believe another separate simultaneous match.
Yes, Nigeria have just won 2-1 against South Africa. And so it means that Mission X is still on for Nigeria, who are aiming or gunning for their 10th Women's AFCON title. And now that they are in the final, they are now awaiting their final opponents, which will be either Ghana or Morocco. If it is Ghana, it will be the 4th or 5th time that they are meeting. at that point,
Yeah.
if it is Morocco, it will be the first time those two nations are meeting for a final slot. So, I mean, Nigeria are home and dry now, and they are only waiting for the final game now.
For you as a female watching all of this display of immense talent, who do you feel will save the day for Ghana then, if we're to be successful at qualifying to the finals?
I think that much will depend on the strategy that Kim Lasbjørkegren will be playing. I mean, we've seen that they've improved and they've become a bit more steady during the game against Algeria. But it will be different against Morocco because Moroccans are free scoring. They like to also search forward to score goals, unlike the Algerians who prefer to work the ball into the goal area and probably into the net. That notwithstanding, the Moroccans also have quite a porous defense and that they've considered in almost all the games that they have played. And so it will depend on what the coach wants to do. If he wants to have a better or a close-knit rear and have a surging for a forward surging attack, I think that will work. I'm looking at Chantel. I mean, Chantel has been a bit phenomenal for this team going forward. You look at the midfield, that has suddenly become the strength of the team, built around Grace Asantua and Jennifer Kujo. And as the forward, that even though we have quite promising strikers, we haven't seen their full potential. I'm talking about Evelyn Bedu combining with Doris Buedua, or Alice Kusi combining with Princess Maf, whichever one that the coach decides to play today. We are hoping that they will be a bit more purposeful up front. I would, for the sake of experience, I would love to see Alice Kusi start in today's game.
All right, then, Rosalina Moore, let me say a big thank you. Of course, being a woman as well and being an enthusiast about sports and its impact on the continent. Grateful for spending some time with us here on Connect Africa. Let's bring in our own here in studio, Razak Musbao, who's been watching the tournament unfold. And you can see that preparation is underway for the Black Queens. But my focus is about the entire continent as well. How is this shaping up? Do you feel that there'll be a solid representation of Africa when we get to the Women's World Cup then coming up?
The only unfortunate part is that this tournament is not going to be the determinant for the teams that will represent Africa.
Some changes there.
No, so what's going to happen is that after this tournament, so this one was supposed to happen last year, but then it was postponed to this year.
Right.
Then there's going to be another tournament next year. There's going to be another women.
Especially for the selection.
So, ordinarily, so this is 2024 AFCON, which was pushed into this year. So it should have happened. It happens every 2 years.
Yeah.
So it should have happened last year.
So they are clearing the outstanding to make way for the other. But if you get to win this one, you stand some better chance at getting to the World Cup.
Yes, obviously. I mean, what it means is that you are in a very good position. It will help your qualifiers because now we know the teams who are going to play, who the Black Queens are going to play, and they qualify for the next tournament. So you get to the next tournament, you make it to the semi-final stage, just the stage where they are. Then the 4 teams that make it to the semi-final stage will qualify to the World Cup. So it's a very good, preparatory ground for the Black Queens and all other teams as far as their qualifiers coming up is concerned. But this tournament has been great. It's been really, really good.
So what then is the implication? That this is going to be the same year but 2 different tournaments?
Yeah, so basically this tournament is happening in 2025, right? Next year we're going to have another tournament in 2026, okay? The Women's AFCON happens every 2 years. Every 2 years. So
this will be credited for 2024.
Exactly.
2025.
Exactly, 2024. So then we're going to have the 2026 edition based on which the last 4 teams will qualify for the World Cup. That's...
Is this due to, sadly, how, CAF has relegated women football to the background?
I mean, there's a lot of questions about the calendar and the nature of, club football and also a lot of the competitions that happen within the CAF calendar. So, yeah, it happened because ordinarily if it was an AFCON, you wouldn't expect the AFCON to be pushed into this year and very late in the year the way it has happened. So, in fact, I think it was sent to December of last year. Then it was pushed again to this year. Even at a point, I think somewhere as of February, we're still uncertain where it was going to happen. Yeah. So, by and large, people have raised those germane questions about how CAF feels about women's football, for which reason they can push it anywhere, at any point they like. But they've made some investment. They've made some investment because even when you look at the reward that's coming for the respective teams in this competition is increased, because we're looking at about $1 million prize money for the winner of the competition. And that's a huge increment from the previous winners, who had just something around $500,000. So they've made a lot of investment, and I think as the year goes by, we are most likely going to see a more stable calendar for the Women's AFCON.
Let's talk about Ghana, because the government here has been claiming credit for readying this team and the kind of superb performance, if you want to call it, that we've seen on display. What's at play here for Ghana?
Well, look, this team, if you look at it, was being managed by their former coach, Nora Haptel. She did massive work as far as scouting and getting a lot of these players are concerned. So this team was on a very good trajectory under their former coach, who left early part of this year to join Zambia, all right? Because apparently she raised concerns about friendly games that were not being made available for her to train her players, all right? So that's what happened. Then we brought in this coach. He's been at the helm of affairs for just like 3-4 months. So a lot of people raise questions about his lack of familiarity with the players and the impact it will have on the tournament. And that reflected in the first game, even his preparations, where we saw the Black Queens struggle in the preparatory games. The first game where they lost 2-0. So that's the journey they've come from. But one thing I can also say is that the GFA, and to some extent, you want to say the ministry, have been very supportive of the Black Queens, because if you look at the kind of investment that has gone into the Black Queens, this is massive. They've spent a lot on the coaches, they spent a lot on the technical team, they spent a lot on the players, because these ladies get to camp for a long period of time. Compare how long these ladies come compared to the Black Stars. They camp longer than the Black Stars. So there's been a lot of investment. In terms of the credit, whether you should go to the, this government or previous government, there have been some inputs, because when they send budgets, they give them some money. But all the same, I think the credit needs to go to these girls and other politicians.
And speaking about the level of preparedness, of course, some of them have been interacting with Lawrence Beidou, who's there in Rabat as we speak, hoping that the best unfolds for the Black Queens. Let's listen in.
Black Queens are yet on another journey. First trying to win the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. They had a turbulent start, but the final win over Tanzania means that they secure progression into the quarterfinal stage. We are joined by one of the captains for the team, the vice captain, Jennifer Kude. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Mr. Chin.
That's it.
Go now, say.
Jennifer, take me through a first WAFCON experience. How has it been for you?
I mean, it's been a great experience for me. The atmosphere, just living in the dream. Before I came here, I knew like this is something I've never experienced. So I've just allowed myself to go through all the motions, the good and the bad motions and all of that. So it's been a really good experience for me. I've enjoyed everything about it at this country.
Look, quite a lot to talk about, from qualification to the big stage. The big stage is where we want to focus, because we've had a bumpy start to this competition. How was it for the team, for you as a captain, vice captain, during this moment, the first 2 days?
I mean, if you look at us, like this is our long-time that we've been back in the competition, and I feel like people need to understand like the game is changing, players are developing, teams are developing, and there's so many aspects to get a better teams. So for us, we've worked together for so long, even though there's been on and off times, where we're not in camp and stuff. But I think in all, it was how it was supposed to be. I wouldn't say everything is happening at the right time. And even though we didn't start that well, but I think it's also a way for you can see the progression that we have. And that's how it is as a team. We're building something great. So even though we didn't start well, that doesn't mean that we're not going to improve and we're not going to progress. I'm excited that we've got to qualify, and I think it also gives us confidence, and then on what we're building, it's working, and then there's still more that we have to do. So yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, a lot of pressure headed into that game against Tanzania. As a group, look, how hard was it for you, or how important did you know that match was for you?
I think we all knew how important. We didn't play the Doha, we've had games over games. We had every tournaments that I've been to, we get off in group stage at the 20 and the 17 World Cup, all of them, I get off group stage. So this not only for me, but every single player knew like, we cannot just go home just like that. So we had meetings when we did what we had to do. We listened to each other. we put everything on the table, knowing what exactly you're paying for. And I think last night showed a little glimpse of what we actually, if we focus on and we wanted to, get things done. But it all comes to motivating us, motivating each other, trusting each other, trusting the system and following plans and everyone. I think everyone was just forwarding the idea of like, we are growing. This is the last time. We're not giving up. And I think it works out. And you can see the fighting spirit and the desire for everybody to get 100%. So now.
You talk about that first half performance being quite chaotic, and then the second half, it's almost as if it's a whole different team. I think me too, what was the message at halftime against Tanzania that put out the Chidas after format?
I mean, I feel like because we lost few games, there's pressure and everything, and it's the pressure is good. You're meeting a team. It's not just any other team. It's not like it's easy for us to go in there and walk over the arena. They have their strategy. Every team that plays out, they have strategy to just mess us perhaps. We, the players, we just have to know when to, play our game, our game. And I think the beginning we were in the rush because we wanted to win. And when we went by, he was more of like focusing on the game plan. And I think it was the second half to see us were controlling the game. We can keep the ball and everything, and I think it works.
I think you answered the question right, but I also want to know, what was the team message that the coach left for you in that dressing room at half-time? Because it came to the pitch quite earlier than the players said. What was the message in the dressing room in the 40 minutes?
I think basically he was trying to say, this is it, like give everything, This moment doesn't just come all the time. This is your moment. Own it and embrace it. I think that's what the message was about. Like, trust each other and play for each other. That's what he said.
While you were on the pitch, were you also thinking about that game between South Africa and Mali? Because you knew it was going to, between South Africa and Mali. Did you look to where were you thinking about it, knowing that it could affect your chances of finishing either second or third?
Oh yeah, I mean, the first game, and then that was definitely like,
great conversation there.
Yeah.
High spirits for the Black Queens. Yeah. But will that translate into anything tonight?
Yeah, I think what is before them is history. This is history beckoning for them. For the last time they were in this stage was in 2016. They couldn't make it to the finals. They only managed a bronze medal in the third and fourth place. And this team is yet to win their Women's AFCON. They're yet to win the Women's AFCON. And that's what is at the back of their minds. And after their quarterfinal victory, we got to hear from them in the post-game. And you could tell that the players feel that, look, they're close to winning the title for the very first time. Because we've had a number of great Black Queens players. Joao Bayo, name them, Messi, all the likes, who failed to lift the trophy. Can you imagine? The Black Queen is a big force on the continent as far as women's football is concerned.
Right.
But they've never won it. So this is an opportunity for them. And even more so, having in the back of their mind that Nigeria have qualified to the final. So a Ghana versus Nigeria
final will be awesome.
is going to be one that they will relish.
Yeah.
And I mean, what way to win your first trophy than to win it from Nigeria, who equal as the most successful team in this competition.
That would have been a sweet victory.
They've won it 9 times. So it's a big deal for them. But they're going against Morocco, the host nation. And I've seen visuals from the stadium already. It's a packed stadium. And
so the psyche as well.
Of course, the psyche. You could tell that the atmosphere is going to be wild because if you count the number of Ghanaians there, they wouldn't add up to 150.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
The entirety of the nation of Morocco are supporting them because it's also an opportunity for them to win the title. So there's a lot that is against the Black Queens, but they need to stay, self-motivated, which I believe they are, and need to stay disciplined because one of the things that might go against them if they don't take care is the discipline on the field. You're playing against Morocco. Look, whether you like it or not, the referee is going to be under pressure because of the atmosphere. He's going to be under pressure. So at any tackle you do, you might end up getting a yellow card. You might end up getting a yellow card because the noise in the atmosphere is going to put him under huge, intense pressure. If you commit a foul in the penalty area, he's not going to think twice. Easily going to take a penalty. So there's a lot that is against them in this game, but they need to stay psychologically strong and self-motivated. I think they can do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Let's do the quick permutation road to the finals. If it's not the Black Queens, or if it is the Black Queens, who are we coming up against? And if it's not the Black Queens, what's happening next?
So if it's not the Black Queens, we're going to see Morocco versus Nigeria final. Morocco versus Nigeria final. And of course, we'll see. I'm not sure where Ghanaians are going to side as far as that final is concerned.
If they beat us, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
we support Nigeria.
So,
no doubt about that.
If the Black Queens lose, they're going to play, Nigeria versus Morocco in the final. Then we'll have the bronze medal, the third place game between Ghana and South Africa. So Nigeria defeated South Africa 2-1. And South Africa are the defending champions. They won it 2 years ago. So they'll play Ghana in the third place, and we'll see what happens there. But I think the ladies are poised to make it to the final.
The unique selling point for this year's tournament for you?
I think the atmosphere has been great. I think Morocco has done a really good job hosting the ladies. If you look at the facilities, based on what Lawrence has been reporting, it's been brilliant. And they're going to host the next edition. So they've invested a lot in their facilities, and I think Africa is benefiting from that. And hopefully the sports minister we heard is there. He spoke to them about an hour ago before they went to the stadium. Kofi Adams spoke to them, and I hope that the government can take a cue for Morocco and invest a lot, because just look at the training facilities there. It's been awesome. And this women's football and the level of facilities at their disposal.
And speaking about Morocco, though, they seem to be readying themselves for sports.
Yes, they are. In fact, they are in line to host the World Cup in 10 years from now. They, alongside, Spain, Portugal, they're going to host the World Cup among themselves. So sometime in the future, they're going to host, the World Cup. And at the moment in Africa, I'm telling you, they're the country who have invested the most in sports. And it's not just football, it's across all sports and disciplines. Whether it's tennis, whether it's athletics, they are making sure that when people think of Morocco, they think of them as the sporting nation. And they're making a name for themselves in that regard.
Okay. Any final pointers? Something we should be on the lookout for tonight?
Well, I think it's just, pray for the ladies, support them. The game is at 7 p.m. We're going to have live commentary on Joy 99.7 FM. So just support the ladies, and hopefully they can do their very best. Even if they don't make it to the final, I think we should support them, because there's a future in these ladies, and they will have an opportunity if they qualify next year to make amends. But let's stay hopeful.
Yeah. And may women soccer win tonight. Grateful for your time. Razak Muzawal with JoyNews, Joy Sports, I should say, giving us the very latest on what to expect tonight. And that's all time will allow us here on Connect Africa with me, Blessed Sogah. Until then, be on the lookout for that live commentary on Joy 99.7 FM. And of course, you can get updates on myjoyonline.com. It's a wrap. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.